Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. When the entire world was fighting the pandemic, lakhs and possibly crores of people were dying, do you know that there was one new billionaire being made every 30 hours? One new billionaire every 30 hours. And you know what is the worst thing? The worst thing is 1 million people were pushed into extreme poverty in the same rate. I am not saying this. Oxfam report of 2022 says this. Let's talk more about that. The topic number 2 is a very short one as usual. The topic number 2 is Asha workers earns WHO's global applaud. They win an award from WHO. Asha workers. Let's talk about them too. Let's get right into the show. Okay, so Oxfam released a report called Profiting from Pain. Profiting from Pain. This was released in 2022, this year. And some interesting facts and figures. One new billionaire every 30 hours in the period of pandemic. While lakhs and crores of people were suffering from pandemic, lakhs and crores of people were dying, one billionaire was created every 30 hours. And you know what's the worst part? See, somebody becoming billionaire is good. But you know what is the worst part? 1 million people were pushed into extreme poverty, almost at the same rate. Acha, I'll give you some more figures. 573 people became billionaires in 2 years. Okay, and 263 million people, 26.3 crore people went into extreme poverty in these years. At the rate of, like I told you, 1 million people every 33 hours. 10 lakh people went into extreme poverty where they couldn't afford 2 square meals, where they couldn't afford to send their children to school. 1 million people, 10 lakh people every 33 hours. So this was some of the figures. I'll take you through some more figures. Wealth of billionaires grew more in these 24 months of COVID-19 than the past 23 years. I will tell you more figures. Billionaires has 13.9% of the global GDP. 13.9% of the global GDP today, which is 3 times of what it was in 2000. And in 2000, it was 4.4%. So from 4.4% in 2000, it grew to 13.9%. Billionaires didn't happen because, some people worked smart and, some people really put in good ideas, great hard work, tremendous amount of effort. And, that's not how billionaires happened during this period. Billionaires happened because they cut your salaries. Billionaires happened because they didn't pay workers full. They cut workers' salary, and that is why their profits increased, and that is how they became billionaires. And that's the sad part of the story. I don't say this, like I said, Oxfam says this. And of course, the governments, and I'm not talking about India here, I'm talking about global figures. So let us be very clear. I'm talking about global figures. Governments helped these billionaires to be bigger billionaires. Help rich people to become richer. Governments help them. Monopoly, privatization, more privatization. So the governments pushed these billionaires. Also, 40 new pharmaceutical companies became billionaire. And one more interesting or sad fact actually, gender inequalities actually deepened. You know why? Because more women were thrown out of jobs than men. So already in a situation where there was gender inequality and more men were anyway working than women, now more women were thrown out of jobs. In fact, the figure goes that 13 million less women, that is 1.3 crore less women, are working today than they were in 2019. Now, I am never against wealth creators, and I think we should never be against wealth creators, because wealth creators are very important for the growth of our country. Wealth creators will ensure more employment. Wealth creators will ensure more money in the economy. So wealth creators are important. I am not against wealth creators. But what happens is, at one level you have millionaires, you have billionaires, and at another level, other than the entire society going up, you have another group of people, another category of people, they go down and they crash to extreme poverty. Now this brings social divide. The rich becomes richer, the poor becomes poorer. I don't need to tell you what happens once that happens. I don't need to tell you that the exploitation of the poor will be more. The more the rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer, the more an extreme poor person will be desperate to work at whatever wages, whatever conditions, whatever terms that the rich will impose on that poor person. And that seems to be happening in this world. That seems to be happening in this world, especially few countries. Crony capitalism seems to be an order of the day. So there are governments that blamed other governments, previous governments, about crony capitalism. The same government seems to be practicing crony capitalism, and the same government seems to be pushing these billionaires up and couldn't care anything about the people going down. Unfortunately, the world has been managed wrong during the pandemic. This is what Oxfam research tells us, and tells us clearly. The world has been managed wrong. No country, maybe a few countries, the figures may be better than the general figure that Oxfam talks about, but most of the country, this was the condition. And that's what I wanted to get to your notice. These figures are very, very important for your life. These figures are very, very, very important for your future. And more importantly, like I always say, these figures are important for the future of your children. Understand this. If your government is not capable enough to change these figures, reverse these figures, your government is not capable enough to govern the country. Let's go to our next topic. The country's frontline medical workers, the Asha workers, as they are called, were awarded with WHO Global Health Leaders Award 2022. A proud moment for India, a proud moment for India. And believe me, these are the people who actually worked on ground during the pandemic. They worked on ground during the pandemic. They risked their own lives to save ours. There is no question about it. There is no question about it. This award was given to our 10 lakh strong health workers because they linked our community, especially people living in rural areas, especially the poor, to ensure they get medical system, they get medical assistance when they need, especially during the pandemic. Like I told you, they risked their lives to ensure they saved ours. So a very well-deserved award. And also, of course, our Prime Minister, reacting to the award, said that their dedication and determination is admirable. This is what Mr. Narendra Modi said. And the Health Minister, Mansukh Mandviya, said that he was proud of them. So that's what our Health Minister and our Prime Minister said. This is fabulous and it makes me so proud. And these are people who deserves an award. And that too from who? That deserve the award. Now, there is this one question. You see, Asha workers, Manrega, all of this was very important, especially during the pandemic. These were the people who are the most important people during the pandemic. They saved lives. Manrega ensured that 2 square meal went into every table. Job. After the pandemic and whatever, when they have to revive the economy, Manrega ensured it in some form or another. Asha workers, I'm sure, was made much before 2014. Manrega was made much before 2014. And remember our good Prime Minister saying that, it is only for people to dig holes and then, fill it and, some form of giving money and all that. I remember all that. But now it will be interesting to note that during the time of pandemic where we needed people the most, I don't think we saw any Gaurakshaks there, or we saw any loudspeakers or this Mandar Masjid guys. I don't think we saw any of those. We saw these Asha workers. What I don't understand is these are the things that actually help this country. And what we see recently, all these new things that are coming up, most of the things actually haven't. Quite interesting, isn't it? So that's it. I congratulate the Asha workers once again. Damn proud of you guys. And till I see you next time. That's tomorrow at 10. Namaskar.